Hello everyone. In our last video, we have defined yoga according to Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Patanjali explained mostly the state of yoga, that yoga is a cessation of the mental modification or any kind of changes in your mind because of the external circumstances. Very often the student asks a second question. They have often heard about yoga as a union of the body, mind and soul, or sometimes yoga is a union of the body, mind and breath, and from where this concept comes. Normally, to achieve the state of Patanjali, where the mind have achieved the state, where it cannot be affected by any thought, either positive or negative, unless you doesn't allow the thought to penetrate your consciousness, is not possible if the mind, body, breath and soul, they are not working together. And the root of this definition is found on the book which is called the Vaisheshik Sutras. Like a Patanjali has a sutras, there is also sutra is a school called Vaisheshika, and they have a book called Vaisheshik Sutras, which is a 4th century, which is a 4th BC book. And the book normally defines yoga that the pain and the joy arises in the life of the human beings when the sense organs, mind and object come together. And the union of these three things define whether you are suffering or you are enjoying. So it's mind, your 5 senses, and the object. It can be person, it can be feelings, or it can be any physical or the material object. And then they further said that when the mind become aloof, when the mind comes out from this combination and it focuses on the self, on the soul, it enjoys a state which is called Sat Chit Ananda, everlasting joy, where the joy doesn't last because the mind established on its real nature. It does not identify itself with an external object. What Patanjali also want to say is on his first chapters, 3rd and 4th line, where he defines that the Shir, the person who sees, and what he sees, he basically identify the object with himself. So from this definition of the Vaisheshik Sutras, where he says the mind can only attain the joy, or we as human beings can only attain the joy when the mind loses the capacity to attach on the object. And this is not possible if the breath is not mastered. As the book of Hatha Yoga has mentioned so many times, if the mind is the king of the senses, the breath is the king of the mind. Because the book of the Hatha Yoga believes that for so many normal people who are doing the daily jobs or who are having a routine life, who cannot spend 5, 6, 7 hours of a yoga practice a day, they have only one solution, that is a breath. So now the question comes, what is the relevance of the postures? The postures are extremely important even if you see the definition of the yoga from the point of the Vaisheshik Sutras, because the postures gives you those 60 to 90 minutes where the mind loses the most of the distractions, most of the external distractions, and started focusing on your internal being. It can be the physical body. Those who practice Ashtanga, for them it can be the Ujjayi breath. Those who practice a kind of a Hatha Yoga or a Shivananda Yoga, for them it's a consciousness of the body, or thoughts, or chakras. So you are trying to make the mind concentrated and trying to weaken the power of senses to distract the mind. So this is the reason why it is often said that yoga is a union of the body, breath and mind, because without their very good tempo between them, a very good rhythm between them, you cannot achieve the success in yoga. So you practice postures, you practice the exercise of the breath, you practice concentration method, or you are trying to do the meditation. You are trying to achieve the same thing. You are trying to bring the mind to the different sphere of the consciousness. Just the level of the consciousness is different. When you do the asanas, the postures, the level of the consciousness for the mind is the physical body. When you do the exercise of the breathing exercise, like these the pranayamas, the sphere of the mind is the breath or the movement of the breath. When you do the concentrations, the sphere of the mind is controlling of the thoughts. or when you do the meditation, the sphere of the consciousness is the emptiness of the thought. So whatever you are doing, you are still working with the mind. So that's why yoga is very related with the mind, and the definition of Patanjali is the most clear and precise of all the 10 definitions exist from time to time in the schools of yoga. So I hope you would have understood the second purpose of the yoga definition, why we say it's a union of the body, breath and mind.